So, if we talk about the dynamic section basically, so in dynamic section, or if we talk about combined forces section, so first of all, let's talk about momentum topic because momentum topic is like a different and individual concept. And we already done with the momentum topic in the previous course, O levels IGCSE. The simple definition of momentum or linear momentum, we can also call it linear momentum because sometimes in exam question they used to ask write down definition or define linear momentum. So this is called linear momentum also, momentum in a single line. So momentum or linear momentum can be defined as the product of mass and velocity. So product of mass and velocity is called momentum. And in other words, momentum can also be defined as in simple words basically. For example, if someone asks like explain momentum in simple word in daily life, why we are using momentum. So momentum tells about the quantity of a motion in a body, right? Just like in different sports commentary we observe they use momentum word, like momentum of the player, momentum of the car, etc. So that word momentum actually tells you about the overall quantity of a motion in a body. So if you want to count motion, so calculate momentum. Simple. So this is not the definition, this is the conceptual idea of momentum. Quantity of a motion in a body. So this is called momentum. And the symbol we use for momentum is P. P is equals to mv, and the SI unit for momentum is kg meter per second. And we also use another unit, Newton second, because we know about the idea of impulse. Impulse is also equals to change in momentum. So impulse is force into time. So we can also use Newton second or kg meter per second for the momentum formula. So this is the simple idea of momentum. After this, the concept of the SI unit, the concept of the formula, we have change in momentum idea. So change in momentum means we know that momentum is a vector quantity because in O levels IGCSE we also study this part that momentum is a vector quantity. So vector quantity means if we change the number, if we change like the magnitude, so momentum changes. If we change the direction, so momentum also changes. So by changing either the magnitude or by changing either the direction, finally the momentum also changes. So for the change in momentum, it is not compulsory to only change the magnitude. We can also change the direction. And for change of the quantity, like change in momentum, it is equals to final minus initial momentum. So final momentum or initial momentum, there is a change and this change is due to due to change of mass. And sometimes we think that mass remains same, so how mass can be changed? So mass can be changed in the form, let's suppose if we use example of the fuel in a car. So when we are driving a car, so definitely the quantity of the fuel is decreasing, so the total overall mass of the car plus fuel is decreasing. So in that case, mass is changing. So momentum changes, right? Let's suppose if there is a 10 liter fuel in the car and now it is 5 liter left. So 5 liter or the 5 kg mass is decreased from the overall mass of the car, right? So that is the change in the mass in this form. Or the second idea, we can change velocity. So, in this formula, oh, sorry, in this concept of velocity, we know that velocity is itself a vector quantity. So, in velocity itself, there is a concept of magnitude and direction. So, either we can change magnitude. So, let's suppose if you are moving slow, fast, so momentum is changing. And if direction is changing, so momentum also changes. So, in deep detail, we find out three different factors: mass, magnitude, and direction of velocity. So by changing these three terms or by changing any one of these terms, we will get the change in momentum finally. So this is the difference. Okay. After this, if we mention the same examples we discuss, combustion of fuel, so this will change the mass of the body. And for speed or velocity, when we slow down, so magnitude changes. When we speed up, magnitude changes. When we rebound, the body direction changes, right? So these are the terms that defines different concepts from the momentum, change in momentum. Okay. Second, the concept of the impulse. So from the concept of the impulse, we drive the other definition of the force. Force can be defined as the rate of change of momentum. Force, rate of change of momentum. So rate of change of momentum is called force. So F is equals to rate of change of momentum. And in this rate of change of momentum, for example, if we consider two different scenarios, if change in momentum is equals to change in mass into velocity. So, for example, if you consider the formula of force is equals to momentum over time, and momentum is equals to mass into velocity. And we make one situation like this: F is equals to mv over t. And if we only compare mass with time, if we compare mass with time, so mass over time represents the rate of mass or rate of flow of mass, like how much mass is moving or how much mass is passing or flowing through a specific point in a unit time. So this force will be equals to m over t into v. So m over t means mass flow rate. This is called mass flow rate or rate of flow of mass, right? Because sometimes we can use the example of water coming out from the pipe. So we can also calculate momentum over there. So there is a concept of mass of rate of flow or rate of flow of mass over there. And then we have a second possibility. Second possibility is same formula F is equals to mv over t. Now if we compare velocity with time, it is equals to acceleration equals to Newton's second law, F equals to ma. So this is the idea of the momentum and rate of change of momentum in different forms. So mass flow rate is a new concept. We will get question from this idea when water is moving or flowing through a pipe. So that will give you idea of mass flow rate. So we will use this equation over there. And the concept of mass flow rate means, okay, now we use this term mass flow rate in our notes. So it will be like in our knowledge when we are solving some type of question. So we know that there is a concept related to mass flow rate. Otherwise, if you don't mention this point, so in questions, we need to think very much about this idea that this can also be possible, and then we will get final answer. So right now, we will not get confused in this type of concept. We just directly use this idea because we already know when liquid or a fluid is passing a point per unit time. So the mass of liquid or gas that passes a point per unit time. So this is called mass flow rate. So let's suppose if 4 kg is moving through a pipe in 1 minute, or 4 kg of the gas is passing through a certain region in 1 minute. So this is called simply the mass flow rate m over t, or mass flow rate. It depends upon the density of the liquid or the density of the gas we are using, cross-sectional area or velocity also. So normally we mention mass flow rate is equals to m over t, or it will be equals to density, cross-sectional area, and volume. Density, cross-sectional area, and volume. So we can also use this idea in, sorry, this is velocity because area is already written. So V represents velocity. So this is the concept of mass flow rate simple, and when we will discuss about the question, so you will get idea how to solve or how to apply this concept in the past papers question, right? After this, we have graphical representation because we talk about momentum, we talk about forces. So let's suppose if we consider a force time graph and momentum time graph. So we have two types of graphical representation, and let's see what type of results we will get from momentum time and force time graphs. Graphs of force time and momentum time. So first of all, if we consider the momentum time graph, so momentum on y-axis, Newton second, time in seconds. So basically what happens when we talk about momentum time graph, so like just like any type of graph, like speed time, distance time, we always used to find out area under the curve and the gradient of the graph. So just like the same, if we apply the same idea on this graphical representation, for example, if both quantities are directly proportional to each other and we are getting a straight line, so let's suppose if you find gradient from this graph. So the gradient of the graph is equals to change in momentum over time difference, right? Y2 minus y1, y means momentum because momentum is on y-axis, and y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. x2 minus x1 means time. So this is the difference. So momentum over time, we already discussed this idea. This is equals to the force. So this is equals to force. So if we find out the gradient of momentum time graph, that gives you the force. And let's suppose if we try to find out area under the curve of this graph. So area under the curve means, let's suppose if we consider a rectangle shape, so it is equals to momentum into time. So momentum into time. So there is no quantity equals to momentum into time, right? So it means if we find out area under the curve of this graph, so that is useless. So in MCQs or somewhere if they talk about area under the curve of this graph, so area under the curve of momentum time graph is useless. It will not give you any value, right? Because momentum into time, there is no quantity like momentum into time, or there is no formula like momentum into time. Second, again, now we need to check forces with time. Force, time. So if we consider force with respect to time and same graphical representation, let's suppose. So in this graphical representation, if we consider gradient, so gradient means F over T. So force upon time. So force upon time is equals to like not any quantity that we studied right now. So force upon time is a useless quantity for us. So if you try to find out the gradient of force time graph, it will give you nothing. It is useless. So in somewhere, if you got this idea that what will be the gradient of force time graph, so it will be nothing because force upon time, there is no quantity equals to force upon time. Simple. But if we consider the area under the curve, area, let's suppose we have rectangle shape, it is equals to base into height. It means force into time. So force into time means impulse. Impulse means change in momentum. So this F into T is equals to impulse. Impulse means change in momentum. So in any type of graphical representation, you have to follow this procedure to find out gradient or area from any graphical representation. So any confusion in this idea related to the graphical representation and the rate of change of mass plus the change of momentum concept? Okay. Now we add one more concept that is new in AS. Before that, we never discussed that topic in momentum. That is the concept of types of collision. So we have now two types of collision. One is elastic collision and the other is inelastic collision. So uh, but let's suppose before, okay, types of collision. So we already discussed about elastic and elastic collision in graphical representation of kinematics. So this is the topic in which we compare elastic and inelastic collision. So one type of collision is elastic and the other type is inelastic. So elastic collision is like ideal condition, 100% efficient scenario. This is ideal condition. Input is equals to output without any waste form. So that is elastic collision. But inelastic is a practical life situation. This is real condition because we got 99% efficient but not 100%. In elastic collision, definitely no energy loss. In elastic collision, energy loss upon collision as heat. This is the difference. And if we talk about the examples, so mostly we consider elastic collision in small masses like atom, neutrons, molecules, etc. Small masses collision, that is atoms, molecules, etc. But if we talk about inelastic, so just like normal bodies we discuss in our daily life, football, cricket ball, tennis ball. So in all these examples, the collision between large bodies are inelastic. For example, when they collide with each other, any two objects, or for example, when car hits the wall. So this type of collision between large masses are called inelastic collisions. So collision between large masses. So this is the idea of elastic and inelastic collision. And one more thing, in elastic collision, basically, momentum remains conserved. So no change in momentum before and after collision. Kinetic energy also conserved. Total energy also conserved. But if we talk about inelastic, momentum is conserved, but kinetic energy is not conserved because we mention energy lost upon collision. So that's why it is not conserved. But total energy conserved because total count all type of energies. So total energy conserved. So basically, if you want to check that collision is elastic or inelastic, so check for kinetic energy. If you get initial and final kinetic energy same, so it means collision is elastic. But if collision is inelastic, let's suppose, so definitely your collision energy before and after will not be same. So we will get different kinetic energy before and after collision when we have inelastic collision, right? And also we have law of conservation of momentum. Law of conservation of momentum, the same momentum law that we studied in O levels IGCSE, that states energy, in an isolated system, momentum before collision and after collision remains conserved. So, for example, law of conservation of momentum. The law of conservation of momentum means that in an isolated system, like if we are not talking about external bodies or external forces, external momentum of the particles, so in an isolated system, total momentum before and after collision remains the same or conserved in an isolated system. And we use simple equation m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equals to m1 v1 plus m2 v2. So that is the equation for law of conservation of momentum. So it means the momentum lost by the one body is equals to the momentum gained by the other body, right? So if momentum is lost by one body is equals to 10 Newton second, so the same amount of momentum is gained by the other body. So that is called law of conservation of momentum, right? So this is the concept of the momentum. And for example, if we consider one question from the momentum idea related to the collision, related to the direction also. Okay. So, if we consider the question related to the momentum, so we have one very repeated type concept from the momentum topic, momentum. Okay, this diagram and this type of question is like repeated concept from the momentum topic. Because in the first part, they are talking about principle of conservation of momentum, and in the second part, they are talking about law of conservation of momentum, but with respect to angles also, angle given in the question, right? And by considering the components of the momenta along the line AB, calculate theta. We know that we can make component just like in projectile motion, x component, y component. So this concept is very repeated. This is from 22. In 2023, there is one more question. And for example, if you search for this type of question, so this is another question, right? Same type. Another question, right? Another question. This is three body. So basically, this type of question is repeated. So if you practice two or three of them, so you will get clear idea how to solve this type of question and easy marks also because this question is not very difficult. Okay. So first of all, this is simple. First part, law of conservation of momentum or principle of conservation of momentum. So we can copy paste the definition from the notes. We are not writing it again because it is same. Second, part B, two balls X and Y move along a horizontal frictionless surface as shown from above in figure 4.1. So ball X has a mass of 3 kg and velocity 4 meter per second in a direction at an angle theta to line AB. Same we have second ball, mass 2.5, velocity 4.8, angle theta with line AB. It means with horizontal because AB line is horizontal. So it is making angle with the horizontal component. Okay. Now the ball collide and stick together. After collision, they stick together means they now consider as a single body and their velocity is 3.7 meter per second along line AB. Now they are moving in a straight line, horizontal line. So consider the components of the momenta, plural form, combined momentum. Along the line AB, calculate theta. So we know that we can make horizontal component and vertical component also. So let's suppose if we consider horizontal component and vertical component. So in horizontal component, we know that angle is theta. It is making theta angle with the horizontal component. And with vertical component, it is not making theta just like given in the diagram, right? So for example, first of all, if we consider horizontal component, so in horizontal component, we have one body like this one. mx, this is my. Mass of ball x and mass of ball y. So 3 multiplied by the velocity component. This is ux, uy. And final velocities are same. Vx equals to vy equals to v, same. So in horizontal component, if we consider the component of this velocity, because mass is not vector quantity, velocity is a vector quantity. So we used to write m x ux plus my uy, right? Horizontal component before collision, because before collision we have these angles, after collision there is no angle. So mx means 3, ux means 4 with cos theta, right? Plus 2.5 into 4.8 cos theta. So this is the second term. Now it is equals to the final momentum. Final momentum is different. Now we have same velocities. It means mx plus my and their combined velocity, because they stick together they becomes a single body. So we combine their masses, 3 plus 2.5, and velocity is 3.7. So now just we need to multiply the things. 12 cos theta plus 12 cos theta 5.5 into 3.7, 20.35. So 20.35 divided by 24 is equals to 0.85 round off, and cos inverse is equals to 32 degrees. So in this way, by using the components, we can find out the unknown angle given in the question. 32-degree angle is the final answer. And in the next part, just like we were talking that how to check collision is elastic or inelastic. So by calculating kinetic energies, state and explain whether the collision of the balls is inelastic or perfectly elastic. So first of all, we calculate kinetic energy before collision. So before collision, we have combined kinetic energy of two bodies, like 1 over 2. Mass of one body is 3, velocity 4. Because the mass of one body is 3, velocity is 4. Because we are only calculating energy, that is a scalar quantity, so we don't need angle right now. So 3 multiplied by 4. And second body 2.5, 4.8. 2.5 is the mass of second body. 4.8 is the velocity of the second. So we can find out the combined kinetic energy before collision, and after collision it is equals to half combined mass into velocity is 3.7. So the final result before collision is equals to zero point 0.5 into 3 into 4 fours are 16 plus zero point 0.5 into 2.5 into 4.8 square, 52.8. Round of 53. And for the second one, zero point 0.5 into 5.5 into 3.7 square, 37.6, round of 38. So it means some energy lost during the collision. So it means this collision is not elastic. Inelastic collision, because kinetic energy not conserved. Right? So this is the final answer of this question. Right? And this is the idea of momentum topic also. Next time we will practice the other questions also from this chapter, because we have multiple questions related to the momentum topic with directions also. So next time we will start with the practice questions of momentum. Okay.